All right, grasshoppers. It is 2 o'clock Thursday afternoon. Let me see if I can see anybody else. No, it appears to be just myself. Getting kind of used to this. Larry, again, just an update on Larry. I know everybody's concerned. I guess concerned is the right word. Larry Melnick, we're talking about. So he again, he will only communicate on email, no texts, no phone calls. So last night I got some cryptic emails. I have no clue what he was talking about. So Billy, contradict. That's right. Contradict. Isn't that what we figured out today was? Yeah, contradict. Yes. Thank you for clarifying that, Bill. I'll tell you, that's changed my life there, knowing how to say your last name. It means a lot to me. So we'll wait for a few more people to get on here. I do want to, I know a lot of people have heard the story already, but Dougie DeVito, the man, the myth, the legend. Look at him. Jill, how are you? Good to see you. Okay. So I know I told the story already, but I feel like I need to vent a little bit. Kathy, how are you? Deb, good to see you guys again. Okay. Yeah, like I said, I don't know what to say about you, my friend, but he has to make sure we know how to pronounce his name. So again, we went through this before. I guess I've got it on my mind. I need to vent a little bit. I guess I feel like kind of an educator, right? Susan is here. Oh my goodness. Susan. Susan. George, how are you? Okay. So I'm a little bit of an educator. So I need to vent a little bit. Maybe I'll get your guys' opinion here too. What I did wrong, what I did right, maybe how we can handle things next time. So we have the issue. Joseph, how are you? We're leaving Costco, the happy place. So I'm in a great mood. Everything's good. Coming back from Costco, didn't spend too much money. Got some frozen salmon, so we're all set. And driving, get to a four-way stop. Now, I felt pretty clearly I was the first one to the four-way stop. There's another gentleman to my left, and he was with some flower shop. Hi, Lorraine, how are you? He's some flower shop van, and he just continued through the stop sign without stopping. So I felt, being the educator that I am, that I should educate him at this point and let him know that he was wrong. So I pulled out into the intersection. He did not care. He just went around me. I might have been slightly aggravated at that time and decided that I was going to give him the 1,000-yard stare him down, thinking I was going to really, what? Good point, Joseph. Hold on. Joseph makes a good point here. It might have been Mel driving the truck. You're right. I never even thought of that. Joseph. Well done, Joseph Lettuce. So I'll finish the story anyways from my side, and then we'll investigate the whole Mel thing. That's a very plausible theory. So again, I thought then, okay, so I'm going to make a difference in the world here. I'm going to teach this guy a lesson, and I give him the big stare down. Now, Barry, why did you forget to tune in for today's morning show? It was actually pretty funny today. Truck was sorry for pansies. You're right, Dougie. Whatever you say, Dougie, you're right. So now I'm giving him 1,000-yard stare. I'm going to show him. I'm going to, this is it. He'll never do this again because I'm going to scare the wits out of him. So I'm not paying attention to the road, and I hit the curb. Now, we've all hit the curb before, and it usually doesn't do much damage. And I'm sure now you have those little sensors, the thing on your dashboard where if the air pressure is going low on your tires. So it flashes on, and then it shows you where the pressure is. And I'm normally up around 35, 38. And it's dropping. It's going 25, 23, 22, 21, down and down. Oh, God. So I'm really close to home, though. So here, okay, I'll try to get home. So it'll be easier to change the tire. I can't do that. I'm getting down to 8. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to ruin the rims. And so I had to pull over. And I had to change the tire. So, okay, Deb. No, Deb. Yes, it was definitely karma. Yeah, it was my own fault. Totally. I should just let him go through. But again, I felt that I had to educate the world. It was a Zamboni that cut you off. Yeah. Could have been, what? Maybe it did. It's a little hidden thing. It's made up to look like a van, but it was really a Zamboni. Bill, contradict. We decided we're going to call him. Contradict. Volkswagen Bug. No, Bill. Yukon Denali, actually. Black. So Lauren, you feel my pain, right? You feel my pain. You felt like you had to be an educator at some point. Yeah. George, you see, it's not just me. Thank you, George and Lorraine, for sticking up for me. So yeah, right. People take, and I just felt like, you know what? You need to educate the world. I'm here for a purpose, not just to sit on the fence and go along with for a ride. It's to educate people. Murray, just so you know, Murray, every day is Pick on Mel Day. So let's go with that. So good chance it wasn't Mel, but it'd be a Mel-like person, right? Maybe he's just, it's similar to Mel, where he just thinks the whole world revolves around him. He can just do what he wants to. That's how I viewed this guy. That's why I felt like I would help him, probably help him and his family. That's the way I felt. Probably had kids. If he was doing that to his kids, I felt like, it's my duty to help this guy learn that that's not the way to act. Ron has disappeared. We don't know where he is, so I cannot ask the next one. Let me see, Susan. Wait. Oh yeah, totally, absolutely. And probably he was looking back in his rearview mirror, laughing too, because he saw me hit the curb. That was the even worse part. And then I was thinking, we were talking about today in the morning show, probably the crew that I threw their ladder down the hill. It would have been funny if they drove by and stopped and helped me change the tire. That would have been pretty funny. Maybe, and then we were talking to maybe the women that have the barking dogs would have stopped by, like, and bring me sandwiches or something too. So it was karma. There's no question it was karma. That feeling too when I'm looking at the gauges dropping, I'm going, oh God. Barry, your dog still made right away. I'll tell you, there was one time where Pepper and his mother was over with the neighbor's dog. The neighbor's dog was barking away too. So the two women were standing there talking to each other, just totally oblivious that the two dogs were just howling at each other. They're like, 2 feet away from each other. And they end up like at my back deck. It's a beautiful night. I'm sitting on the back deck. Might have had a beverage. So like end up like 20 feet away from me, and it's just constantly barking. I think I was actually on the phone or something too, and the guy started laughing. He's like, "Where do you live?" And so I felt like I was under control too. I don't think I did this out of anger. I yelled, "Enough! Can you shut the dogs up?" So I firmly, loudly said that. The dogs actually stopped barking. I get scared the dogs. It was pretty funny. I got a kick out of that. Yeah. Jill did some research here. I like this. See, like Mel used to do research. Now Jill's doing the research. Just Google it. First to arrive, first to go. The first car to pull up, stops on the first car to get proceed. Tie goes to the right. Sometimes two cars stop near the six at the same time, or at least close at the same time, straight before turns. Thank you, Jill, for clarifying that. Very concise, exact, very clear. Should be no question. Hopefully that gentleman that cut me off yesterday watches this show. Yes, Deb, that is the issue. You could have nollie wheels, and that's not cheap. I don't think I did any damage to the rims, but we'll see. I haven't had a chance to get it. I'll have some time tomorrow to get it in. So let me see here what our trusty Ira says. Hey, Tom, get to the point where you picked up the nollie. Okay. I was fired up enough that was concept. Yeah, that was a thought. It was one of those feelings too. It's like, like you're mad that it's happened and you're mad at the other guy, but you're more mad at yourself because you're thinking, Tom, what an idiot. Just go home. So, Joe Lettuce here. Are you going to buy a pair of Potvin socks? That's pretty cool. And the other one was they were talking about too. I don't know if somebody's joking around this morning on the show where they said Potvin pucks is the next thing coming up. So, but that's pretty, I give them credit for, I'm assuming it wasn't Potvin. I'm assuming it was the Islanders that thought of that Potvin socks. It took them 40 something years to do it, but so you don't want to give them too much credit, but they finally did it. Sure. Exactly, Jill. Thank you. I was right. It's all that matters. Yeah. Where's my chicken? Where's my chicken? He's back. Where's my chicken? Do you have Flintstone race now? Yeah. Kind of felt like it yesterday. Yeah. Yeah, like it was just, I figure, okay, it's going to get hard. Timmy Waters that I played with in LA, great teammate. He played in Winnipeg for a while. And then he was telling me Winnipeg gets so cold sometimes that you drive the car at first thing in the morning because the car has been sitting and the tires on that bottom part, so it's a little flat. It just continues to be flat until you get going for a little bit until it gets warmed up. So you got to go and clunk. Flintstones. Where's the great Dougie DeVito? There he is, the great one, the one and only. Tom, the tire only flat. Yes. Good point by you, Doug. The rest of the tire's fine. You know, that's how you put a positive. You are an incredible human being. That's how you put the positive spin on it. Here I was, doom and gloom, can't see the sun, all this kind of stuff, and you say, you know what, Tom? It's only flat on the bottom. Brilliant. Like that. That's why you are the human being that you are. That's why all men want to be you, all women want to be with you, because you can come up with that kind of concept right there. I'll tell you what, though, the blood pressure. You know, I don't know if it's the blood pressure as much as more like the just aggravation. Like, oh God, like it's my own fault. I shouldn't have done it. And I've got to change the tire, got to get the tire in. So we're fine. Again, you know what, you guys? Unbelievable. You should have 3 more tires. Excellent point by you. What am I worried about? Really? I am worried about stuff like that. This is pretty sad stuff. Any thoughts on Boris Song stuff from ALS? Yeah, I tell you what, I grew up around Toronto, so I watched him play when he came up with the Leafs, and he was a god. Like he just, especially Philly, was trying to kill him all the time. They were always all going after him. Excuse me. Not only did he just not back down, he went after them. Like he was a warrior out there. Great player, huge heart, great player, and just it's sad. I mean, it's sad anytime something like that happens, but you know, to see him, I guess it's that vision you have of him being that warrior out on the ice, and now going through what he's going through with ALS. So that's sad news. But yes, and it wasn't too long before they made the announcement that he lost his speech, that they felt confident that things are going to go well. But I don't know what those diseases. Let me see. I William need to hear what you just said. Yeah. Let me see here. You should check in with an old D partner. He probably gets a flat anytime he sits in his car. Are you and Kotze friends? Like, do you guys communicate back and forth? I'm assuming you met Kotze. You know, that's just my assumption. Doesn't mean it's accurate. Leafs, or excuse me, Rangers lost again last night to the dreaded Islanders. Pretty funny scene too, where Matt Martin, Boomer Esias's son-in-law, during warm-ups was his daughter. His daughter was down by the glass, and she got scared of him. Kind of backed away. It's pretty cute to watch. You can see it. I think it's on the NHL website. So, oh God, I could just hear that conversation too. No, he told me to F off and go suck up the lane. Oh, we had the golf tournament there. What was it, 2 or 3 weeks ago? And I'm sitting with Nikki. And Nikki is one of the best practical joke guys. It's like sneaky too, and he'll stir the pot good. And Nikki and I are sitting at the table, and Kotze's sitting at the table next to us. He's got his back to us, and he's talking to the foursome that he'd played with. And I just don't like associate with Kotze much anymore. So Nikki starts fire. I don't know what he was firing off at Kotze. I didn't know that he was throwing things at Kotze at the back of Kotze's head. I didn't, and Kotze all of a sudden turns around at me and just knock it off. And gives me the growly look and everything. And I seriously, at that point, I did not know what was going on. And I turned to look at Nikki, like, what's going on? And Nikki's just got this big grin on his face. I said, please don't do that. You're going to stir the pot here. So, I think he stopped, but Kotze still had to turn around more times. Don't you do that. Oh, God, it's funny. Nikki's just something like, Nikki hasn't changed the video. I mean, not in a very good way. He's still funny, and really good. He's got some good stories too. Let me see here. Game didn't say, yeah, that part. Yeah, I mean the Ranger Islander games, Ranger Flyer games, Flyers Islanders games. That whole Patrick division, all those teams hated each other. I mean, it was, they're all intense. Yeah, and in fairness to the players today, the game's just changed so much too. Again, it was. Intimidation was a strategy back then. It's just not now. Speed is a strategy. I mean, you can intimidate guys like hitting wise, but like it was, they were wars. Yeah, they were great games to be a part of. It just were so intense. I used to love it when Al Arbor was great because right before they play us, it seemed like all the time they would play somebody else, and he would think that, or maybe he was concocting this. I don't know, but he would say that they weren't. He'd say this in the papers too. He'd say our team was soft. They could have played with a bunch of eggs in their pockets, and it was right before they played us. I'm thinking, okay, that's great. So he's getting Gillies mad. He's getting Nystrom mad. He's getting Langevin mad. He's getting, so you're thinking, oh, this is gonna be great, But I mean, in other ways, it gets you up for it too. You know what's coming. So, yeah. Leaf fan is here. How you doing, brother? Good to see you again. Everyone's having a fantastic day. Yes, you know what? We're having a fantastic day. I actually, I'm lucky. I'm going down the garden tonight. Yeah, we got a thing from 5:30 to 8:30. Sam Rose and myself, and is it Charlie Smith, the basketball player, the ex-basketball player, Charles Smith. They're doing a thing. It's actually pretty cool. Part of it, kind of a little bit of a different thing before, where they give out awards to the people that are working at Madison Square Garden, like to kind of honor them. I think everybody kind of gets an award. I think is how it works out. But it's basically, it's like to thank them. We did it once before. I went down in the garden. I think it was before a game. Yeah, it was before a game because everybody was in the building, obviously. And at first, I kind of felt like, oh, they won't want to care. They just want to get their job done. But they were really into it. It was really cool. Like they were really excited that all wanted to get their picture taken and everything. And just I think it was the fact that everybody we were thanking them when probably they don't get thanked a whole lot, right? They work long hours. They're away for the games. It's actually pretty funny. We went into one of the lunchrooms. And I was being my typical big mouth guy, and I was like, who's this? And actually, the guy was sitting right beside me, or sitting down. I was standing up. I said, all right. Actually, I didn't know. I said, okay, this is the employee of the month right here. And it happened to be he was the employee of the month. I didn't know that. So we had some fun, a lot of laughs, and I actually got a standing ovation because I went in there thinking that these people weren't going to be into it that much, and then they're obviously fired up. Unlike hanging around with Susan, where she just picks on me all the time. So. Susan here with a comment. Here we got. NHL needs to change the ruling that a format high stick can be reviewed. The wrong call. Yeah. So that's right. I forgot to read that part. Maybe I didn't know it even. So the reason it was not reviewed because it was only a 2-minute minor. So playing Colorado, Lafreniere got a penalty for 2 minutes for high sticking. It was clear when you see the replay, it wasn't his stick that hit the opposition. It was the opposition's teammate that hit him. And everybody could see it in the building. I think the referees even knew it once they saw the replay. But they couldn't go back on the call. I think what it was too that a linesman could have gone to him if he actually saw the play and when it happened, but they can't go back to the replay. They can't, and obviously they're showing it on the big screen in the building, but they can't look at that. They can't review that play. So I think their hands are kind of tied, knowing, okay, we missed the call, but we can't review it. So obviously, if we can't review it, and none of us actually saw something different on the ice, then they couldn't change it. But I think you're right, Susan. There is that thing, though. It's like you say, oh, God, how much do you want to be able to replay? But that's a good point because, listen, if that had happened in a playoff game late in the game and the team gets a penalty against them, it doesn't, then it's a real uproar, right? Like, it really makes a difference in a game. It didn't at that point. It was early enough in the game. You could argue that it didn't make a difference. But interesting. Oh, I was just sitting there thinking of things. Eh? That's what goes on in that brain is. From Tom's online dating site, mentor, Ted C. Oh, God. He talks about the online dating site a lot. Ira does too. Huh. Let me see here. Mr. Erickson's here. Sorry. Who was your favorite cup of coffee player with the Rangers? Who was my favorite player? Man. I've been asked this before, and I'm really not trying to avoid the answer. There's just so many great players. We had great teammates who really did. And it was the same in LA too. Just really good. It's not every guy that you get along with, but like even the guys like the Steve Richmonds and the guys like Scott Kleinendorf, the guys that maybe weren't the star players, maybe weren't here that long, but were just like great role players and really good like people too, like fun to have on the team. And then there's the other players like Barry Becks and Ron Greshners and Dugays and John Davidson is a fantastic personality. JD was the kind of guy that when he first got here because it. 79 when they had the great run and he played such a big role in that. And he had this big personality too, like he just kind of commanded the room. You really wanted to kind of fit in with JD. That's why I joke around where the first game of my career, I shoot the puck off the back of his leg into our net. The look he gave me, and I don't blame him, the look he gave me through his mask was kind of like, you idiot, So it's like, so you want to be accepted by JD. Here you are in the first game. You shoot off his leg, and he's looking at you like you're some kind of idiot, It's like, but yeah, he should have stopped it. Jeez, he's a great goaltender for God's sakes. You see here, Barry Shelley, you magical creature, you. Do the players that played during that time against each other still hold grudges or bad feelings against players? No, that's actually a great question too because I'll use me for example. Bob Nystrom. It's not like we're best friends now, but we're gonna do some more podcasts, just the audio podcast. I'm gonna start doing that again, and I'm gonna have Bob Nystrom on as one of my guests. We spoke recently, and I've seen him at other charity events. So it's like, again, it's not like we're best friends, but I mean, listen, we used to hammer each other all the time. He was a tough guy. It wasn't like he was afraid of me. He knocked me out one time, spent the night in the hospital. And Gillies the same thing. You're just, he wanted to kill you. And you thought he was going to sometimes. No. And you talk to guys like Gillies used to fight O'Reilly all the time. They're buddies. He's buddies with the Hammer Schultz. So no, it's, in fact, in some ways, the guys that you had the real battles with, you kind of respect more, and it's so far gone. And you knew, no matter what we did to each other out there, it was trying to win. That was where the game was back then. So no, it's a great question, but no, I think if anything, you really, unless the guy did something, like I had a player one time, there was really nothing going on. He came up trying to gouge my eyes out. And I was like that, to me, that kind of stuff was kind of not nice. But, let me see. Yes. JD has he's got that personality that when he walks in the room, we used to go to a bar or something like that. JD had this ring, I guess it's his wedding ring or whatever, and he'd drink this rum and cokes or whatever he would drink. And he'd be clanging the ring against the glass. He'd be telling the stories. Like you'd see this big pile of people. And at first he was like, what's going on? And then you realize after a while, if you walk into a bar, JD was around. They're all piled around JD having, yeah. And it served him well too. And I'll tell you what, I give him a lot of credit. He's really worked hard. At the end of my career, I started getting into radio and TV work. I did the first year, I did the first year of the San Jose Sharks. I did their color commentating, and I really leaned on JD a lot for advice. And the big piece of advice was that he outworked everybody. Watched games at home all the time on the big satellite dish. I was always at pregame skates, talking to coaches, everything. And because he worked so hard, people were always willing to help him and give him information too. So when he got to the game, he felt so confident in himself. Even if the game was bad and there was really not much to talk about, he had a whole bunch of other information about what was going on around the league. And that really helped me, even when I went off in the agent business. It's just being prepared and the work ethic and everything. So I admire JD a lot. He's really done a great job in his career after the game, both as a broadcasting and management too. So it's cool. I'm sure Cam Newton would not have lunch. I don't know. And I thought I heard that they were all right. I can't remember, but you'd be surprised though. Guys, especially if they get a chance to, although I think a guy like Claude Lemieux and what he did to Draper, I think he did a show or podcast with, I can't remember who it was, another tough Red Wing. And he really never apologized to Draper at all. That's the one thing. Like Bob Nystrom, when he knocked me out, he called me before the next game, and he wasn't afraid of me. He was afraid of anybody. So it wasn't like he was doing it because he was afraid. But he called me up and apologized. And then that was in a playoff series. And then once the playoff series was done, we went through and shook hands, and he pulled me aside again and apologized. And we didn't have much relationship. I mean, we always played against each other, especially with Herb Brooks. Herb always wanted me to play against him. Which thanks a lot, Herb. It was kind of it's an honor. He played hard all the time, and he was good. Why didn't I stick commentating? That's interesting. Maybe looking back, I had a pretty good run. I had a lot of success in the agent business. So I worked for IMG for about 5 years. That was the largest management company in the world. Had first overall picks in the draft, guys who won awards, Stanley Cups and everything. So I had a lot of success in that. I really enjoyed it a lot. The color commentating, part of it was too that I had a young family as in the agent business. So I ran my own business at first. So I could, even when I was with IMG, you live where you want to live, and, you make your own schedule and everything. The color commentating, and you see the guys are bouncing around a little bit more too. I really enjoyed it. It was good. It's good. Actually, when I started, the Kings got me going first in the radio with Nick Nixon. Nick was a good guy too. I was hurt, still getting paid, so obviously might as well do it. They didn't go on the road. I just stayed at home and did the home games. They actually hired a young woman. I can't remember her name. Jimmy Fox was just getting started in his career as well, so it was pretty smart. They hired this woman that was like a broadcasting coach, and she was very helpful. Learned a lot from her. But it was a great experience doing it, especially right after playing, because again, it's another thing to do that kind of gives you confidence that you can go do things. When I started in the agent business, I knew nothing. And I look back at it now, thank God I was smart enough to be able to do it, but not too smart because I probably would have scared myself of not doing it. But it was, again, I think the broadcasting was just another thing to say, okay, you haven't done this before. You taught yourself how to do it. So, yes, thank you very much, Michael. It was Darren McCarty did a show with Chris Draper, and they discussed. And again, listen, Darren McCarty beat that out of Chris Draper, and they do a show together. So, John Tonelli and I ended up being good friends. We played in LA together. We used to beat the crap out of each other. He was spearing me, and I'm cross checking. We joke around about it all the time. How I don't think we necessarily hated each other. That's just how we played. So, let me see here. Did Dave Moy speak? Oh, I didn't know Dave was the one that knocked his eye out. I didn't know that. Wow. Oh, well. We don't. I really don't know about Mel Scott. He sends me these cryptic emails. Don't know whether he wants to get on the show or not. So I've just kind of taken the stance. Maybe he'll. What shipman would you say was the best negotiator? Well, that is a great question. To me, there's different types of negotiators. Like Kenny Holland was a good negotiator because he just didn't do his job when the actual negotiation was going on for a contract. He built a reputation with all the players. He wasn't sucking up to them. He wasn't going behind the agent's back or anything like that. But he built a reputation and a relationship with the players. Not that he was being their buddies or anything like that. Just like it's clear he was the boss. But so when it came time for negotiation, he could pull the player in and say, listen, and he'd let the agent know he was going to do it. He didn't have to let the agent know, but he would let, do the right thing. He would say, listen, I love you on this team, but this is why I can pay you what I can pay you. And this is all that I can pay you. I want you here. So the player would feel really good. He wouldn't be necessarily happy about the money he'd be getting. So in that way, that's where he was good in negotiation. It wasn't necessarily the exact negotiations. It's a relationship with the players that he had. I thought he was fantastic at that. Lou Lamoriello was good. Glenn Sather was, Glenn would put on, I didn't know, but he was putting on this tough guy act all the time. He's really not. He's this great guy, but he put on this tough guy. And the guys that had won a lot, those older guys, I remember when I first I think I first sent out a contract offer to somebody with Philadelphia. Bobby Clark was the general manager. And I realized at the time when I sent it out, he fires me back a letter, like making me feel like a biggest jerk on the planet. Like, who do you think you are asking for this much money? And I believed him. I thought that I'd really screwed up. And I realized later, I didn't screw up at all. The offer I gave them was a decent offer. And he was just playing. He knew I was just getting started in the business, so he was playing games with me. Brad Boucher was a client of mine, and Boucher had a real good playoff run. And I went down to Philly to negotiate a new contract with Mr. Snyder at the time, was president, and Bobby Clark. Were up in Mr. Snyder's office. Really nice gentleman. He was fantastic. And so we went back and forth, and obviously we didn't agree, but he wasn't getting mad about it. We discussed it, and I gave him my rationale and everything. And then Bobby Clark loses his mind. Goes all red in the face and everything. You're just being stubborn. Don't do it, Mr. Snyder. Don't do it. Tommy, what are you doing? All this kind of stuff. And even Mr. Snyder was looking at him like, what are you doing? Like, that's not the tone of these negotiations at all. We're getting along great. And I'd been an agent for a while, so I was a little cocky too. And I just turned around and said, so are you done? And he says, yeah. And Mr. Snyder and I got back to negotiating again. Like he wasn't even in the room. So, and Bob was a good guy, but I think he was used to being kind of the bully too, or getting his way. So once you showed him it just wasn't going to work, then he was fine. So, wow, what makes you see here? Well, it makes, yeah. The one I don't mind. I don't mind saying. Maybe I should. I won't say it. There's one guy. He's still in the business, so I'll be careful. And really a good guy. And again, I was just getting started. And he was actually very helpful to me. He had been an agent himself. And I had leaned on him a little bit for advice when getting started. And he was great. And I'd sent, it was a 9th round draft pick or something like that. It was wasn't a big contract. So I'd sent in a contract offer. And he's great. He sends back, he says, Tom, like I think I'd asked for a $25,000 signing bonus. He says, Tom, he should be getting a $50,000 signing bonus. So he gave me the $50,000 signing bonus. I hadn't asked for enough, and he told me why. So he gave me, it wasn't a big deal, and he really taught me a lesson. And I'll never forget that. That's still, when you first get started, that's one of the biggest things in negotiations. Like you feel like, oh, geez, am I asking for too much? Like, you've got to get past that and say, okay, well, even if I am asking for too much, so what? I've still left myself room. But again, nowadays too, it's even so much easier to get comparables and comparables to see. And some players there's a wide range, but others you get a pretty good handle of where it should be. So contract negotiation was fun. I really enjoyed that. Yeah. Let me see here. The great Susan Brooks. Do you feel you play differently depending on whether it was a day game or night game? I hate 8 o'clock games. I'm with you. I hate the 8 o'clock games. I don't think I played any different afternoon or day. Obviously, the preparation for it, like, you are a creature of habit a little bit. It's the process. So I don't think it's as much superstition. But when you play a night game, like if you're used to playing at 7 or 8, so you have your schedule, okay, I'm going to go down. I'm going to have my lunch now at this certain time. I'm going to go down for a nap. I'm going to get up at a certain time. I'm going to leave for the rink at a certain time. I'm going to start getting dressed for the game at a certain time. So you're all wired in at that. That's the typical game time of 7 or 8. So yeah, it's not a big deal, but now you have to alter that. It's really just backing it up a little bit. The afternoon games are totally different because, again, you don't get in the morning skate. Your meal is at a different time. So you're eating if you're a guy that eats pasta all the time, like I did, so you're eating that at a different time, and you're eating that in the morning. But you get used to it. And once you get on the ice and get playing, it really isn't that big of a deal. I didn't feel like it was. I mean, I felt like if I wasn't in the game, that was my fault. So, Danny. No, we're getting together with your wife. We're gonna settle things once and for all. That's it. Okay, let's get this done. All right, I've had a hard time this morning with this Dory woman who was picking on me. I don't want to have this this relationship with your wife where she looks at me the wrong way. Clearly, she just doesn't understand who I am. So we need to get this done, okay? Let me see. Would you rather have a great agent who actually played the game or one who never had? An agent that has played the game, if he wants to do his job properly, he can really help guide the player through some difficult situations, or, so like, to me, if a player's having a problem with the coach, not enough ice time, whatever, now what happens a lot of times is the agent feels like he needs to step in and talk to the general manager, for example. Now that I think it's done a lot. It's done a lot like that now because the agent feels like, well, if I don't step in and help him, somebody else, some other agent is going to come along and say something, and he's going to step in and help him. I'm going to lose my client. It's not done because it's the right reason, the right thing to do. I feel like if that kind of thing happens, the player should say to the coach, can I have a few minutes of your time? And go into a private room someplace, close the door, and have a conversation with him about, listen, I want to play more. What do I need to do to play more? I think when the agent steps in, and it doesn't even go to the coach, like the agent should not go to talk to the coach. He should talk to the general manager. But if he's talking to the general manager complaining about a player's ice time, if I'm the coach, I'm saying, okay, let me get this straight. This player doesn't have enough strength. He isn't man enough to come and talk to me one-on-one. So to me, it doesn't matter whether the agent's a former player or a guy that has never played. It's more, again, it's tough nowadays because of the agents will steal the clients. They'll find a way. I mean, I had it happen to me when I was in the agent business because I would say to players, listen, no, I'll go talk to the coach, but it's the wrong thing to do. But a lot of times the agents now will just go ahead and do it. But so again, I don't think it really matters whether they're, and the contract negotiation part of it too. It's become so, again, there's arbitration is all handled by the Players Association. You can find out all the information online. They've got it all on about what everybody makes, all the comparables. You run comparable charts all the time, so you know who your player compares to and what the range of the salaries is. I'll tell you, the big thing is the player really determines what he earns based on his play, and it's the agent's job to go out and get it. So, can you remember any other? Oh, Barry's got some good questions. Sorry, buddy. Barry's hogging the show today. I'm sorry. Can you remember any of the other sports teams in New York that had players that were huge hockey fans and came to the games? Maybe. Yeah. Who's the offensive? There's a few guys. Well, Boomer Esiason. I mean, he always was a Ranger fan, but is now. There's a defensive lineman for the Giants back when they were winning. He still goes to games. Yeah, there's a lot of other fans who go to other players from other sports places. Yeah. Interesting. How important? Danny Erickson. You're a wonderful wife, Danny. I tell you right now, I have this feeling that she's a wonderful person. I have faith She's just not, she has to get to know me. Okay. I'm not letting this rest. I'm not going to be able to sleep until we know that we're on this. How important is morning skate? I think most people would tell you the game that it's not that important. It's something to do in the morning. I don't think it really makes a difference one way or the other. In fact, I think it was more in the old days they did it because they wanted the guys to get out of bed and get sweat out a few beers or whatever. But the players nowadays, I think it's just more something that's become, a habit to do. I don't think it really makes a difference. I know a lot of teams have optional skates now. So, did your goal have G's legs? Spoilers? No, I don't think it did. It might have been the first goal. Well, maybe it was a shutout at the time. Yeah, you're right. Could have been because early in the game. What is Ira must be this dating website thing because he's talking about this all the time. Eric Serp number 2 from Tom dating profile. 3 favorite drinks: tequila. Oh, Ira, keep going. One of these times you're gonna be funny. How do you sell a player on a guy like Ted Sater? So as far as an agent trying to get him on the team, so you don't talk to the coach when it comes to being a free agent. You're talking to the general manager. So to get Ted Sater to accept the player now, it just didn't happen. Now, if it's the other way around, trying to convince the player to play for Ted Sater, well, I wouldn't. Knowing what I know with Ted Sater, I would not want. If my player had a lot of other options, I would not want a player playing for Ted Sater. That kind of coach. Yeah, I just. I just even bad for players' careers. The mind games he tried to play just were irrelevant. It did nothing for the players at all. It did nothing for the team. Just alienated the team. I mean, the stunts he pulled, like we've talked before about sending Mike Rogers, Nick Fotiu, Glenn Hanlon, Pierre LaRouche all down to the minors at the start of the year. Because he's trying to prove that he's a tough guy. He proved that he's just a classless person. So those guys had earned better. If you don't want him, you don't want him. Doesn't mean that if you don't think you should be on the team, but trade him. Don't send him to minors. Yes, I think that's well documented. Our feelings on Ted Sater. Curious, how long did it take you guys to walk to the tribal council in Survivor? Seemed like a long hike. So, well, we take the boat. So we're on one island. We take the boat over to tribal council. The walk. It really wasn't that long. They played it out, make it look like it was a longer walk. Where they had the tents that we sat in with no chairs too. They don't make it nice for you at all. They make it rough for you. Like you're sitting in the dirt and everything like that. And they do it for a purpose. Like they want you to be miserable out there. That's part of the test of the game. So it's more the wait. You get there sometimes like 2 hours before tribal council, and you got to sit in these little tents, and you can't talk to each other because there's no cameras there. Bugs all over the place and everything. So it wasn't that long a walk. But again, just to get there and go through the whole process, it was hours before you got started. Tribal council was fun though. It was pretty good. So it's, if you really are into what's going on, like if you're one of the people that's controlling the vote, you're feeling pretty good about yourself, and obviously, Jeff knows what's going on. So he asks you more questions. I mean, you're somewhat out of it. You're like, oh God, it could be me, or you just don't, you think you know what's going on. But even when you watch it on TV after, as much as I thought I knew, so sometimes like I didn't know, like Vince one time thought he had a alliance lined up and he was going after me. So skates an option. Sorry. Yes, Justin Tuck. Thank you very much. Yeah, he's a big Ranger fan. Yeah, I like him. I wouldn't mind getting him on a show one day. I wonder if he's doing. I think he's still around here, right? Okay, here comes Serp number 3 of Tom's dating profile. Best pickup lines. My BFF Larry won 2 cups singing him. I was on Survivor, and I hold the world's record for ladder toss. You've got a writer there. There's no way you're thinking of that yourself. Come on. Let me see here. Oh, hold on. Oh, well, let's see. If it came down to money or your childhood favorite team, what would you choose? I don't know. I mean, it's easy for me to say this for a guy that never made close to the money these guys are making now. But like if Aaron Judge is going to get, I don't know if he's going to get, it's rumored that he's going to get 8 years at $40 million a year from San Francisco, but he's going to get 7 years at $40 million a year, and he wants to play for the Yankees. I know he's giving up $40 million, but I don't know. It's almost like you say, It's easy to say this too because you're not the one giving up the money, but okay, do you really want to go play for San Francisco? But San Francisco has won more World Series than the Yankees have the last 10 years too. So it's not like he's going to a bad organization. But it's going to be that is a tough call. But it's a tough call for everybody. I think for San Francisco, it's not a tough call. They're going to offer him whatever he wants, right? They're going to say, okay, what do you want? 8 years, 40 million years? Okay, that's what we're offering. And then it's going to be up to him to say, okay, Yankees, what do you want to do? And the Yankees thinking to themselves, okay, do we gamble here and offer him less than what we think San Francisco was offering him and risk losing him? Or do we just give him what he wants? That's really the gamble. But, listen, if they don't, like, I'll put it this way, the Yankees make a sizable offer to him, and they will, and he turns it down. The Yankees, like they did at the start of the season, they're going to, show the media and the fans, okay, this is what we offered him. How much more do you want us to offer him? Yes, he probably is going to win the MVP this year. Yes, he hit 62 home runs to set a record for the American League, but he didn't do anything in the playoffs. He hasn't won us a World Series yet. Derek Jeter won us a World Series. Several World Series. So, that's going to be a dicey one. But okay, so let's say the Yankees make the decision. Okay, we're going to risk losing him. We want to keep him, but we're going to offer him less. And they do lose him. As much as there may be some fan outrage, is it going to hurt the Yankees anything as far as fan appreciation and money at the gate? Are Yankee fans going to stop going to the games? They're going to stop watching the games on TV? I don't think so. It's the Yankees. The Yankees have been through a lot. It's an iconic organization. So, yeah, there's a good question. Leafs fan, I like it. So, Austin Matthews, I think he will. He was smart. I think he was smart that he took a shorter contract, right? He just took a 5-year contract where Connor McDavid did an 8-year contract. He maxed out. He backed up he could have gone a little higher on the salary. In fact, I think the rumor was that he backed up a little bit so there's money left under the cap to make the team better. But by going 8 years, although we had this pandemic, again, the reports were that next season the salary cap is going to go up $4 million. It's going to continue to go up. So by the time, when Matthews gets to the end of his contract, plus I'm almost positive he's a free agent at the end of that contract too. So there's another one of those cases like, do you if you're the Toronto Maple Leafs, you get Austin Matthews go? Maybe he wants to go someplace else. Maybe he wants to get back in the United States. I mean, you saw that with Goudreau and Kachuk up in Calgary. They didn't want to play in Calgary. Maybe he'll want to go back to Arizona and play in front of 5,000 people every game. There's a good chance of that. I don't know, Barry. Oh, no. Okay. So, my book writer, just so you know, too, is a fantastic guy. He's helped me so much. I'll tell you what, even I personally am with the book, and it's as much my fault too. It just keeps dragging on. We just keep add new stuff to it. So we had a conversation. I'm hoping this week we're going to have this weekend we'll have the final version put together. If that's the case, this final version, it should be out in the next month. It really isn't that. The process we're going to self-publish on Amazon. So that process could take a matter of days. It's just making sure we got everything lined up properly, proofreading it and all that. So I'm hoping within the next month. So I want to get it out for Christmas, obviously. So, yes, that's a good question. Thank you, sir. Mr. Barry Shelley. Graham, let me see here. You can give me some advice on Pepper. Let me see here. What we got? Bobby Johnson. I keep forgetting to ask, like Bob Johnson, like great day for hockey. During training camp, did you ever have to tell a guy to tone it down? I'm trying. I don't know if I'm trying to think if I ever did. Like, I mean, like going too hard, trying too hard. No, if that was the case, it's about trying too hard. No. I mean, I remember my first training camp. I was bound to turn and make the team, and I went hard. And again, that was back in the time when the vets would show up out of shape. And here I was flying around. I'd got myself in great shape. Nobody told me to tone it down. Well, Phil Esposito wasn't too happy at the time I decked him with center ice, but it's pretty funny. But no, if a guy came in and was working out, if it was cheap play or trying to fight people that he shouldn't be fighting, then yeah, guys. But I don't remember ever being like that. Again, later on in my career, that whole theory about the vets coming in out of shape, that was kind of going away. Like it got to the point where everybody was showing up in training camp in shape. So things changed. Let me see. Okay, we got excerpt number 4. Interest. Larry Melnick, barking dogs, scaring little children. Oh, Ira, you funny man. Let me see here. He is Tom if they walk him to free agency. That's it. Okay. So we're talking about Austin Matthews again. So his contract will take him to free agency. Great move by him and his agent. I'm sure the team tried to stay away from that, like to buy into those other years of free agency, get a longer term contract. But he was in that position. We say, no, this is the way it's going to be. Again, that doesn't mean the player necessarily walks. He may love it there, but there's a lot of other factors too. I mean, the taxes are higher up in Canada. Let's say he signs in a team in Florida or Texas. I can't where else where there's no state tax, but that's a lot. That's a big difference. If it's a difference of, I don't know, 10% in taxes, and you're making $12 million a year. That's a lot of money that you're making up. That is going to be one thing that. And again, so the other teams can pay more. I mean, if Toronto wants to pay more than some other team in one of those states, they can do that. But yes, Debbie. Okay, dance shot. So I'm going down to the Garden tonight. We have an event down there. We're thanking all the employees. I think it's an awards kind of show too. It's kind of fun. And I'll be some people that I'm going to get some, at least push it forward to get approval. Obviously, they got so much stuff going on there. This for them isn't, and not that they're being bad about it. There's a lot of stuff happening. I just want to make sure we could go ahead and just use Garden of Dreams as a charity without their permission. But given that I do all the stuff, I just want to make sure we do it the right way here. That's something they're very proud of, the Garden of Dreams, and they should be. So if we don't get it done soon, then if we don't get an approval soon, then we'll just. I mean, I really like to use them, and I think it would be helpful for us too, because we can get maybe some of the current players to do it, and coaches and stuff. It'd be kind of funny to see Gerard Gallant coach or dance. Gerard, he hasn't pushed too many wheels with him plate there. He's a round man. It's a good one, Anthony. Very nice. I'm reading a book about reverse psychology. Please don't buy it. Very funny. I like that. Let me see here. Former teammate or teammates you take to a bar fight. Wow. Well, Bubba and Nikki. The guy you literally like takes George McPhee because he's a tiny little guy, right? You can just see somebody thinking, who is this little guy? I mean, I did that when I played against him in college. Like, who is this little guy? I'm going to kick the you-know-what out of him. And then George would just stand up and smack him around. He was unbelievable, man. He was good. I mean, I do remember in college too, my college coach saying to me, because he played with Brian McClellan, and he was talking to me one time saying how tough he was. And maybe I misunderstood the conversation, whatever. I just assumed he was talking about Brian McClellan because Brian was such a big man. And George McPhee and I, like, he would be like, I thought I was the toughest guy on the planet, and he's coming up and he's spearing me and stuff. And he can't fight in college. So I'm like, get away from me. He claims I knocked his tooth out one time. I don't remember that. And I'll never forget, he came up, he'd been in the minors a little bit, came up, and first game he played against the Islanders, and he squared off with Bob Nystrom. And I stepped in thinking I was saving his life. And he was mad at me too. He's like, "What are you doing?" And so they got out of the penalty box, went away, and then had a great scrap. And I'm thinking, "Oh, thank God I didn't fight him in college. He was a tough dude. Yeah, he was good." So one of those guys. Here we go. Let me see. Excerpt number 5: most traumatic events in your life. The Kotze Ricky. That could have been it. See Kotze laying up there with all those boils all over him, and oh, that was something. You didn't use any air conditioners this past summer. Are you going to go without heat this winter? We use very little heat. My one son with his wife and my other son and his girlfriend come over. The girlfriends come over. They dress appropriately. It's pretty funny. They come right in and grab the blankets and everything. Yeah, so heat's overrated too. Yeah. Let me see. Toughest pound for pound Ranger. Yeah. Pound for pound, I'd have to say. I mean, listen, Barry Beck was an animal. Nicky was tough as nails too. There's other guys, good fighters too, but it's just pound for pound. He fought Dave Longeman one time at the Garden. And Longeman was a big man. He wasn't known to be a great fighter, but he was fight guys. And George just destroyed him, cut him wide open and everything. And it was weird watching George fight too, because it wasn't like when you watch Colton Orr fight, you can just see the power he had. Like he's stepping back with the right hand and just drilling people. George, and not taking away from George, just like, oh, how's he doing this? Like, he's not a big guy. He's not all muscle and everything. And he's not like he's got these big haymakers, but it's like you get hit. It wouldn't bother him. Yeah. Yeah. That was good. I mean, I remember that fight too. So Eddie had cross-checked Gresh in the corner, and George went after him. And remember Bubba later on was yelling at Eddie, was kind of yapping at Bubba, and Bubba goes, "Get out of here. I'll get George to kick the crap out of you," or something like that. You could hear him on the TV. Uh, yeah, I've been wondering about this one too, Susan. Bruce Boudreau, supposedly, I don't know the man, but everybody talks about one of the nicest guys in the game. Everybody just loves him. They love being around him. Like it's like playing for your grandfather or something. He's this great guy, great motivator. Um, I don't know this. The story is apparently he's not really good X's and O's guys. I don't know that to be fact or not. But yeah, I mean, it's a Canadian city too, which makes it even worse. There are some expectations for Vancouver. What are they? 0-7 now, 0-8, something like that. So Boudreau, you would think. Uh, Frankie Beaton was tough too, Barry. Yes, he was. Yeah, that was a great fight too. One of the funniest things about that fight was Glennie Hanlon on the bench after. He was like a cheerleader. He was going nuts, waving his hands up and down. I remember Keenan and Paul Holmgren looking down at him like, just like, what is this guy doing? They ended up trading for him later. I think that was part of it too, because Glennie he didn't care about anything. Glennie was the nicest guy, his best teammates ever. The game was going on. He didn't care who was against. If it was, if they were on the other team, they were on the other team. He didn't care who they were. One of the funny, this story has been told, right? But it's one of the funniest scenes when we're playing well. We had one of those team meetings where everybody goes around the room and gives their opinion why we're not doing well. And Mike McEwen, Mike McEwen's a great guy too, but Mike's kind of got that kind of goofy way about him a little bit. And he got to him and he says, listen, I just show up and play the game. And nobody got mad at it because it's just kind of like, that's cue ball. And then Thomas Sanson's right after him. And his English is not very good at this point. So I don't even know if he totally understood what cue ball said. He says, yeah, I agree with what he said. So Glennie being this, like he was the ultimate team guy. And if somebody did something against the team, didn't matter if it's on another team or our team, he was irate. And he hated this. And it was still at a time where I don't think we totally understood the Swedes as much as we got to later on. Glennie was just irate. We're walking out to practice. And he was also good friends with Tiger Williams, who was a real good team guy too. And Glennie and I were pretty close. And he goes, Tiger wouldn't have stood for that. Like Glennie's just steaming, And it's when Thomas came down, and I don't think Thomas did it on purpose, but he fired one at Glennie's head, and Glennie was already mad at him. So he's out of the net, swinging the goalie stick, trying to skate after Sanson. And I don't even think at that time Thomas fully understood what he had done. But and Ted Sater was coach at the time, and Ted Sater had a Swedish wife, and Glennie's yelling, "You chicken piece of Swede," all this kind of stuff. And so we got Glennie back and next settled him down like 15 minutes later. And I think this time Glennie knew what he was, or Thomas knew what he was doing. He came down again, fired another one at Glenn's head. Glenn went nuts again. They had to throw him off the ice. He just lost his mind. So funny scene. And Thomas stirred the pot too. And like I think I said this to you before, there's a lot of times early in his career, we hated him. Thomas was just like this jerk, we thought. And then once we got to know him later, we were totally wrong. He was a fantastic guy. He just competed all the time, practicing games. He was going to go and do his best. He was one of the best teammates I ever had, but we just didn't understand him at first. So, yeah. George and I never did. George, he was actually an agent for a short period of time himself. And then I think he was assistant general manager in Vancouver. Oh, that's right. But then he got the GM job. No, I don't think I ever did. I don't think we ever did a deal together. I was the same way with Don Waddell. We were roommates too, and I was in the Asian business for 22 years. I think we did one contract with each other. I think we both wanted to make sure that we didn't, kind of violate that friendship, like take advantage of it. So this, can you give me a little bit extra money because we're buddies, kind of thing. Or he didn't want to say to me, Tom, can you give me a break on this player because we're friends? It's just, yeah, I don't like that too. It's from both ways. So, excerpt number 6, celebrity lookalike. Brian Mullen. He's really Adam Graves in there too. He's in that group. Yeah. Let me see here. Bubba said, Bubba said, F you bad, you cheat. Oh, yeah. No, that's pretty, yeah, that's what he said. Yeah. Favorite Halloween candy. Susan, do you think I would eat Halloween candy? Oh my God. What have we not learned anything here? I thought our relationship I thought we knew each other better than that. That hurts. Yeah, that was a good brawl. I never understood why O'Callahan did what he did. I know Dave Maloney knocked down Larmer, yes, but it wasn't like it was a dirty hit or anything. It's just more he ran into him, and Callahan just came running in and cross-stick Dave right in the chin. That was a big brawl too. They got O'Callahan off the ice. Apparently, the story was that he was crying downstairs after. I don't know if he's crying because he was so scared or crying because he couldn't understood what he did because it was totally uncalled for. I mean, if you felt like you did something to Lermer, as much as it was nasty back then, drop the gloves, go after Dave, but to cross check the guy right in the chin. So, let me see who's the strongest linesman. Is it Ron Asseltine? Was that the guy? I think it was. Yeah, Ron Asseltine. He rammed some fan, jumped on the ice in the Boston game and came after the referee, and Asseltine came running after him, just decked him in the boards too. I think pretty sure it was Asseltine. Good guy too, man. Funny out there on the ice. Just like a good sense of humor. Like really that little digs, He's not like he's pretty funny. He's a good guy. But see, I think by far he was the strongest back then. Yeah. I forgot. Dougie DeVito sent me a fantastic video of what Mel was doing. I forgot to post it too. I'm sorry, Dougie. I'm going to post the one that Dougie sent. So I can't divulge, okay, what he's doing. But we know now we've got video proof of what Larry's been up to, okay? And I believe this to be very accurate. It fits what we think of Larry Melnick. So I'll get that out. And I apologize, Dougie. That was fat. I sent it to me and I forgot about it. Let me see here. Donna, how are you? What do you typically order when you eat out? I was feeling awful guilty and Heineken sweet last night. I literally threw two M's. I literally threw. I don't eat out very often. I guess like if we go to the Delta Club, I'll go get the sushi. I love cooking at home. I just feel like I've gotten so strict on my diet now, and I don't. I know what's going in all my foods, the sugars. Like I make my own ketchup, so there's no salt or sugar in it, and that kind of stuff. I'm more like I'll go to a diner every once in a while, get a nice omelet. Well, okay. Okay, Susan. All right. Now I thought that you were present tense. If you want to go past tense with Halloween candy, I would have to say, it's a good one. What are those little wrapped up? It's almost like just sugar. It's wrapped up. And it comes in a little sliced up. It's almost like you know what I mean? Like it's all different colors. It's pure sugar, I think. But that would probably be it. But not now. No, nay, as the great Larry Melnick would say. Nay. Doesn't he wag the finger too? Like nay. That's pretty sad that that's our last memories of Larry, right? I didn't play with Rudy. Hold on one second. Where is he? I think he did though. Nicky was famous for that. He did it. Ate half my hot dog because of you. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Yes, hot dogs are the worst thing for you. Those processed meats. Oh God, clog the arteries. And people think sometimes, okay, I can eat a hot dog and then go to the gym and work it off. It does not work like that. The hot dog, the processed meats and everything goes right into your arteries and just clogs them up. Just again, put them in a blender. Get the syringe. Go to the hospital. Jump up on a gurney. Plug yourself into one of those heart monitors, and then just shoot the hot dog right into your veins there. Just watch them clog up. Your heart start to work harder because it's trying to pump the blood through the god darn hot dog. And then you go ahead and put some ketchup on it too. Get that high fructose corn syrup in there, so you can just get some diabetes while you're going at it. So you can get treated for diabetes and heart disease at the same time. But sure, listen, a hot dog with ketchup on it, it's fantastic. Yeah. Other than that sounds pretty good. Yes, you know what, Barry? Correct. Next time you make sure you have more clams. And yes, it's wonderful point. The recipe actually called for canned clams. I thought I'm not going to put canned clams in there. I'm going to get fresh clams. What's Barry Shelley going to think of me if I use canned clams? So I wanted to go with fresh ones. But you're right. I didn't realize I actually had more of them, but like Tom, I didn't overthink things. You just do it. Grip it and rip it. Let me see here. Number 8, meal you could cook at date, pepper steak. What's interesting about the hot dogs too? So we don't allow cigarette smoking commercials on TV anymore because we realize cigarette smoking is bad for you. It causes heart, lung disease and all kinds of stuff. But we know that processed meats, the hot dogs and everything cause heart disease and cancer. But we still sell them. We sell them everywhere. It's like it's promoted to eat hot dogs. It's the worst food for you. I just education. I started my Thanksgiving menu. Oh, no, that menu is long. It doesn't matter. I could do that with my eyes closed now. So we know everything we need to have. Ooh, can't wait. We still have to have the pies too. So we're going to have apple and raspberries. That's our tradition. So the Thanksgiving and the Christmas meal are both traditions, and they're pretty much both the same. Shrimp cocktail, chips and dip. Oh, we do use yogurt dip instead. So it's better for you. Celery, carrots, all that kinds of dip on. That we don't eat much of the hors d'oeuvres much anymore. Then the turkey dinner is always the same. Not too. I mean, the mashed potatoes, I put some butter and sour cream in. We stuffed the turkey with homemade stuffing. We put all the vegetables in the bottom of the pan, so that all gets roasted up. We put that in the blender. Put it back in the pan. That becomes our gravy. Pretty good. Oh, the turkey juice. I see people basting turkeys. I never baste my turkey. I put it in the oven, and I don't see a purpose of basting myself, but maybe some people do. All right. My arteries cringe whenever Baconator commercial. It's true. I mean, I can see why those foods look fantastic, but and that's the thing. We advertise selling that kind of food, but it does the same thing to you that smoking cigarettes does. I think it's an education thing. I think that we got to understand. It's just people understand. Okay, listen, yeah, it tastes good, but it's just as bad as a cigarette, for God's sakes. All right, listen, I've got to get going a little bit. I got to catch a train, get down to the city. We're doing that fun event where we're thanking all the employees down there. I think it's an award show. Sam Rose is going to be there. Is it Charles Smith or Charlie Smith, the former Nick? I've been to a few events with him. He's pretty cool. So we're going to have some fun down there. Everybody, stay away from the processed meats. All right, chicken, salmon, turkey. All right, so everybody have a great week. We'll see you next week.